And that's why I keep telling this to everyone, whoever asks me, how to crack an interview. Interview is like cheating for me. The questions are already out there.
I have one quick question for you.
Yeah.
After you reach 10 years of experience, say 12, 15 years, do they still ask the essay?
I have created a notebook for myself. I write, every time I give an interview, I write the question.
Alright, Balram, so my last question is, you mentioned you know 6 languages, you do marathons, and you keep upskilling yourself, you keep learning new technology also. How do you manage all this? You have a family also, how do you manage work-life balance and all the other things that you're doing?
A topic which is very close to my heart.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Tech Baat Cheet. Today we have a very experienced person, Balram, who is currently Director of Engineering at Uber. He has 19 years of experience and he has worked with companies like Gap, Dell and Amazon. So welcome Balram to the podcast and please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hi, excited to be here. Thank you for calling me. You already know my name, Balram. I passed out in 2005. I'm from Assam. I come from the foothills of Himalayas, beautiful place. 2005, my first job was with Dell. I took baby step in terms of software engineering at Dell, and then the second I made a move after 5-7 years. I moved to a small startup, small company. The first day I joined there, 17 people were asked to go, and their strength was 30 or 32. I was like, did I take the right decision? Every day I used to go, I used to first check my badge if it's working or not. But having said that, adversity teaches you a lot of things. That was one adversity that taught me a lot of things. To be humble, to be grounded, to learn, prepared for your next step, right? I learned a lot during those 1.5 years. Moved to Mumbai. I was in Hyderabad, from Bangalore to Hyderabad to Mumbai. I took up a job in Gap. I worked there with smartest and finest people that I've known. Extremely smart people. We were just 18 of us, and I think 17 were from Indian Statistical Institute and the other were from IIT Bombay only, right? The reason why Gap existed, I was told, in Bombay is because they wanted to hire from IIT Bombay.
Oh.
That was the only reason. I was the only one at that point in time who was not from one of those premier colleges. I learned a lot there. I taught a lot of people there actually. I'll come to that story a little bit later. I have taught about at least 4,000 to 5,000 people worldwide on big data, on Python, etc. Maybe I'll come to that story later. But then that experience carried me through my next journey, which is Amazon. Amazon, as you know, it's difficult to crack interview, but I persisted. I mean, that was not the first time I was interviewing for Amazon. I think that was third or fourth time. I was just persistent with it, right? Every time I failed, I picked up myself, I learned, and I gave an interview again after 6 months. So I eventually cracked it, and Amazon, 5 years at Amazon had been a roller coaster, right?
So which office you were in Amazon?
I was in Hyderabad. The new office, the fancy office that they built, that was the office I was in Hyderabad. It was a roller coaster, right? It was amazing fun. I learned a lot. And one thing that I still remember, one of my managers told me on day one, Balram, if you cannot write well, you cannot think well. If you cannot think well, someone else will do the thinking. And I had add my own line at the end, right? I mean, this days when I tell this to someone that, if I cannot think well, obviously if I can write well, I cannot think well. If I cannot think well, someone else will do the thinking for me and I'll have to work for someone, right? So start thinking. That was my journey at Amazon.
I think that is very well said actually. That applies everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely, right? There's a lot of learnings that I have had Amazon. I mean, Amazon has been kind of my guru, unofficial guru. I mean, you learn a lot from teacher, but that as an organization, I've learned a lot from there. And lately it's been Uber again. Smartest of people. Every day I go to office, I tell myself that everyone is smarter than I am. So I have to work a little bit harder to keep up with them, right? And they're younger, smarter, hardworking. So how do I keep myself relevant is a question I ask every day. And that also keeps me humble and grounded.
All right, great, Balram. So my next question is, how your experiences at these companies, Gap, Dell, Uber and Amazon, shaped your career and help you in reaching the position where you are right now?
Let me start by my first baby step into the world of technology, right? That was Dell. It was an off-campus recruitment for me. I didn't want to work. I mean, I'm just giving you a little bit of trivia behind that. I wanted to do further education, but my brother, I was staying with the brother at the time. He told me that, hey, we are financially constrained, so you'll have to take a job.
Oh, and which higher education you wanted to go for?
I wanted to do an MBA. I wanted to prepare for IAM and go for MBA, but that didn't happen because financially we were a little constrained. And then my friends were all getting jobs in Infosys, TCS, Wipro, etc. To me, I didn't want to work. I didn't want to work where everyone was working. I wanted myself to be a little different from the rest of the world. And that's how I am, inbuilt internally. But just because my brother said so, I didn't like it. So what I did was I prepared for 7 days. And then there was this off-campus for Dell. There are more than 2,000 people coming. I sat for it and I got it, right? I was one of the 10 people that they selected. So that was my journey into the world of technology.
And what kind of questions they asked? I mean, what was the topics? What were the topics like?
Yeah, it was pretty simple problem-solving questions, mathematical question. If this stream is flowing at 10 kilometers per hour, the boat is going in opposite direction at 20 kilometers per hour, how soon will you reach XYZ? So that kind of question, a little bit on database side as well, operating system, a little bit on linked list, etc. Right? I bleakly remember that. But one thing that I remember, and this is something that I want to tell everyone, right? During that interview, I had an intellectual disagreement with the interviewer.
Okay.
On one question he asked me on database, I don't remember the question, but I stood firm saying that this is what I've studied and this is what I know. Although he disagreed, the entire 45 minutes that we had discussion, we only had this disagreement. I thought I'll not be selected. But then to my surprise, I was selected. You don't have to toe the line of what others are saying even when you go inside a company, right? You have to have a voice, stick to that voice, argue with data points. Don't argue for the heck of it, right? Say that, I've learned this is the concept, I have done ABC, and therefore this. It's like proving a theorem, right? If you are able to do that, the other person will understand. Even if you are wrong, just by looking at the passion and the background work that you have done, the person will say, okay, this guy has done a good job. And at that level, when you're just starting to get, when you're about to get into a company. So yeah, at Dell, learned a lot. It was software engineering. I still call my leads, there are 2 leads. They didn't like me because I'm the kind of person who questions a lot.
Okay.
Right? I will not go by what you tell me. If you tell me the sky is blue, I'll ask you why. I'll again ask you why. Why is the color of sky blue? And then I'll go to the depth of many whys. And during one of my meetings early, I've done a lot of mistakes, and I'm sure people shouldn't do that, right? I used to ask so many questions that I actually irritated. During one of those conversations, he told me, Balram, you ask so many questions, it actually hurts me. I don't know what hurt him. But I was kind of surprised. This was genuine question. I was not asking for the heck of it. I wanted to learn. And therefore, I was asking. I learned on software engineering, and I was put into data engineering, PL SQL, Unix shell scripting. And I also worked on a legacy software called Glovia. Not have heard about it. It's older than mainframe, I guess. So I didn't want to work on that. Again, I fought a lot, right? Later on, he's a very good friend of mine today. Later on, he tells me that after I've long moved away from Dell, that he tells me that, Balram, because you were such a personality, we thought of firing you once. I was like, yeah, thank God you didn't fire me. But then I was very good with my work, right? Whatever work was given to me, for example, I used to manage one of job orchestrator called Control M. I was the only expert at Dell on that. I became an expert. No one taught. I became an expert on that. And people from all over the world used to come to consult me on how to orchestrate their jobs. So that is one good thing. The other thing that I learned at Dell is I became very good at playing TT.
Okay.
Because I had no life beyond work. The maximum I have stayed in one place at Dell, Inner Ring Road Dell here in Bangalore, is 5 consecutive days. I didn't go home. Clothes used to be in my drawer. I used to take shower there. I used to sleep in sofa.
Okay.
And half of the time I was working. When I was not working, I was playing TT. That used to be my life. I mean, again, very bad example for someone to say, but that's my story.
All right.
The other thing, amazing, I got great mentors at Dell. someone who introduced me to long distance running. I'm a barefoot marathoner. I run long distance marathons, right?
Do you still do it? Or?
I still do it.
Okay.
I couldn't do it today, but I ran yesterday, because today I had to come here and I have certain constraints as well. On few days, like Tuesdays and Thursdays, I can't run. I have constraints. I either go to office, I need to wake up my daughter, I need to take care of her, but otherwise I run. But still I have a routine. I wake up at 5 a.m., I do my yoga, I do my meditation, etc. But coming to this, I got great mentors at Dell, and he introduced me to running, long distance running. My first marathon was at Dell. I did Kaveri Trail Marathon. It is one of the toughest marathon in India, and I did while at Dell. So a lot of good memories at Dell. Post Dell, Dell was in Bangalore. I moved to Hyderabad. I took up a job with a very small company. We can call it as a startup, right? Like I said in the beginning, the first day I go to office and then half of the population is out. It was difficult for me to comprehend at that point in time. I was like, oh my God, what did I do? Right? Is this even the right decision? But the way I see every adversity is every adversity as an opportunity.
True. I mean, that worked for me all the time.
I also say that if there is a lot of problem, that is your opportunity to shine. In Hindi, there's a saying, "Kichad mein hi kamal khilta hai." And I always try to find the mess from where maybe I could bloom. And then I saw that as an opportunity. Because so many people were gone, my mind started working backward, right? I'll be the whole and soul of whatever I'm doing. It's my time to either shine, perform, or perish. So that's that. Everything worked out. I was given a team. I hired a team, good set of engineers. I was able to manage customers. But then what that taught me was, there was a little bit of fear somewhere in the corner of my heart or brain, which said that this may not be long lasting. I'm sure they had some constraints on money or something. I don't know. So it pushed me hard for myself to train on something. I self-learned big data. This was 2011-12. There's no one to teach. I bought that book, Hadoop, the Definitive Guide. I'm not sure you guys seen it. First edition.
Okay.
And I read it 6 times. Okay. Not once, not twice. I didn't know Java also at that point. Of course, I studied Java in college, but I didn't know Java, and all the MapReduce code were written in Java. I learned Java for that purpose. And I realized that Java is...
And why did you pick big data? Why not any other technology when you were learning?
Yeah, so there's a thought process behind it as well, right? I felt that the era of data has arrived. I mean, fast forward now, the era of Gen AI and machine learning is now. But back then, 2010-11, I felt that the era of data has arrived. We are amassing huge amount of structured, unstructured, all kinds of data, right? But there was no way to process it. We were running some of the process which took us 24 hours. Somewhere I knew that that's not right. You cannot have one process take 24 hours to run. I had realized with the advent of big data, I had read a little bit about it. And also, my wife pushed me a little bit. My wife is not a technologist. Okay. She's a lawyer. She had just passed out of National Law School, Hyderabad, Nalsar. And she was like, we're just getting married. And then she was like, she did her research and said, PL SQL will not take you very far.
Oh, she did all that research in tech for you.
Yes. Sometimes you need someone to push you.
All right. Okay.
Right? And she was the one who pushed me. She continues to push me even today. She said, PL SQL will not take you very far. Find out something that you could do so that you can go very far. And I found big data. I also had a friend. I paired up. Every day we used to study for 3 hours in pairs. And every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we used to go and do programming. We self-learned. I used to teach him. He used to teach me. I mean, that was on Python, but big data, I learned it on my own. Python, we did as group study. Big data, I learned it on my own. And after I did that, I started teaching. I created contents. And I taught a lot of students worldwide. I taught students who were doing PhDs to someone who did to do data analysis on Python and big data. I've taught a lot of them. And eventually, I tried doing some gig of my own as well. During that time, maybe 13, 14, I tried to do something, but again, I didn't persevere with it, and therefore, again, worked for Gap after that, right? So during those time, all of these things happened, taught a lot of people in the office as well. But then, like I said, that adversity of having joined first day and then so many people having gone out, look at the outcome, look at the impact that it created in me. I learned Java, I learned Python, I learned big data. And I was so good that Gap, I must have worked hard for 1.5 years and I'm still reaping the benefits to this day. It's like I also give an analogy of meditation. If you meditate, let's say for a year and I've done that, you have done fixed deposit and then you keep on getting interest for your entire life. That's how I feel the amount of investments that I did at that point in time in terms of learning and the time I invested, I'm still get returns even to this day.
That's true. Actually, when I was beginning my Geeks Freaks journey, I published a lot of content on Geeks for Geeks, and for 5 years without any revenue also. And I went for a teaching job, and I was getting less salary, and I was like, there was a lot of social pressure that how I did a wrong decision, so I had to justify that adversity, right? I had to justify that whatever decision I've taken, I'll have to make sure that I fill the salary gap that I got from software to teaching job. So I worked really, really hard, and those 5-6 years of hard work, that still pays me off.
Absolutely. In terms of salary, you may be going down, but in terms of hard work, you're going up. At some point in time, it will normalize. It's a sinusoidal wave. That's how I think in my head. That investment led me to who I am today. Moved to Gap. At Gap, worked with some of the smartest engineers. Like I said, they're very smart, but most of them were data scientists. They used to write in R. I'm sure many people will not even understand what R is, right? It's a statistical language package. They use it for a lot of machine learning. At that point in time, they used to do that. Being an expert in Python, because Python is very easy. I'm not sure how many of you know this, but with Python, in 1 week you can start coding. And Python is actually object-oriented programming language. Many people use it for scripting language, right? Whenever I'm interviewing or when I talk to people, whenever they say that, I wrote a script on Python, I'm like, yeah, but it's also an object-oriented. You can write full-fledged code in that. So I taught a lot of people. We changed the way, to some at least, write in R, and we moved to Python. But then I was also given to work on something called as Cube. I'm not sure if you know Cube.
I don't know Cube.
So some of those planning and what if analysis, I'm sure with your company also, what if I make investment of so much, I make this much money, what if I cut down on my bottom line, my top line becomes so and so. A lot of those what if analysis, forecasting, planning, etc. are done using Cube. Back at Gap, they asked me to manage work on Cube, which is Microsoft SSAS, SSIS, SSRS. I'm not sure many people will be able to connect with it, but that's just a technology. I didn't like it. Again, I thought I was going back, retrograding in my career. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do to earn your bread and butter. So I did it for a year. But again, the funny thing with me is, whatever I think that this is not valuable, it ends up giving me so much of an output or an impact later on in my life that I cannot comprehend. That Cube work that I did for a year, later on in my career at Amazon and Uber, I think that is what led me to exponentially grow in some of these places, because they were looking for people who knew this, and there are some issues with that, and I was able to understand it from day one because I had already worked extensively on Cube before. I also and as a human being, what I try to see solutions in every problem that I see. And what I used to do during those times is, I was in Mumbai, I used to take local from, I'm forgetting the name of the Ghatkopar, Mulund to Ghatkopar local, Ghatkopar to Andheri in a metro, Andheri to Malad again in local, and I used to take auto. It's 1.5 to 2 hours journey one way. So what do I do with so much of a time? I used to download all the Coursera videos in train, and I used to learn. Right, I used to read, I used to learn. I mean, so it's kind of an atomic habits, right? I'm reading this book also called Atomic Habits, where if you better yourself by 1% every day, by the end of a year, you are 37 times better than what you are today, right? But if you degrade yourself 1% every day, by the end of the year, you'll be zero. That time, I didn't know about this concept, but I used to read every day, little bit, 1 hour, half an hour, whatever. And by the time I reached office, I would have gained substantial amount of knowledge. That's how I followed my routine there. Fast forward from Gap to Amazon. Amazon is a day one hustle culture, right?
Right, and that's what we will say, that 1 year or 2 years of experience of Amazon is much more than experience in other companies. That's what I keep hearing.
Absolutely, and I survived 5 years. But then I survived well. That's why when at Amazon, I felt that was my whole life, right? Everything revolved around Amazon. The best thing that I have learned at Amazon is, I'm sure you have heard of Amazon leadership principle. Apply those leadership principle anywhere in your life. For example, you're not digging deep in your work, so you're lowering the bar on dive deep, right? Okay. You're not thinking out of the box. You're lowering the bar on think big. Or maybe there is an operational excellence or engineering excellence work that you have to do, invent and simplify. You have to think on behalf of customer obsession. You have to take a lot of ownership of your work, ownership. So there are this 16 leadership principle now, but that leadership principle covers every aspect of your life, not just in work. Whenever I think of myself, whenever I'm doing something myself at home or outside, I try to evaluate myself in terms of leadership. Am I getting deep enough, right? am I taking the ownership, right? So it's a great teacher. You have to be able to write well to convey your ideas, right? I'm sure you would have heard this. Most of the time we used to be writing, and my majority of the time used to go in writing, either writing promotion documents, some ideas, press release, FAQs, etc. Because everything that you have to do, you have to write first, and you have to write in best quality, present it to your leadership, and if they approve it, you go ahead and start working on it. So writing is a skill that I picked up there. You get clarity in your head. Everything goes. For example, if you're thinking of an idea and you're just thinking and you start executing, you'll miss out on many things. But you write it and you refine it over a period of some time. You see that your ideas have become so much better. One document that I was writing, it took me 27 versions to get the best one, and 6 months of time.
I mean, I do a lot of content writing and I can very well relate. Whenever we write an article on Geeks for Geeks, I used to write a lot, and I have done like many refinements on a single article myself.
Right. I have written 27 versions. I mean, to the point that I was like, please God, I don't want to write on this anymore, right? It was that. But then it taught me a lot of things, right? It taught me the art of writing, and it taught me the art of thinking as well. Because the more you write, the more you think. And then whatever concept that was not clear in me, I researched, and eventually I wrote and did well. I changed a couple of teams at Amazon. It was a pretty good journey. There are tough times for sure. Not tough days or weeks, tough years.
Oh.
There are tough years, but then again, those tough years make me who I am today. If I were to not have those tough years on my back, I would not be who I am today. What I'm learning here is how to manage large distributed teams. There's so much ideas coming, how to do more with less. And this is something that I'm constantly thinking, I'm constantly rethinking, constantly strategizing on what to do better. Right? I think every day I try to learn something new. This is something that I want to carry for the rest of my life. I mean, to everyone who's listening this also, you don't become the person who you are overnight. It's that compounding factor. You keep on trying to learn something. You keep on doing something every day. You may not realize what value you are adding to yourself, right? For that matter, if you're investing on yourself, exercise, health, right? That's something that everyone talks about, mental health, physical health these days. You need to invest on yourself every day to be better at work. This is something that is being reinforced. I'm trying to get better at work. I'm also trying to get better physically, right? I have a certain goal by the time I reach 50, maybe, and another 8 years. I have a certain personal goal in terms of my health, and I have certain professional goals in terms of my health. And that's something that I am calibrating while I'm also working here.
So I can get from your all experience in these companies, there are a few things that you did. One thing is you keep doing marathons. I mean, you still do it.
Yes.
You take care of your health really well. That helps you in being healthy.
Right.
You kept learning.
Right.
You were learning big data when you were not working upon it,
yes.
right? And you were learning Python and all those things at that time, right? In your early career days. And you very well learned the leadership principles and applied to your real life also.
Yes.
You keep applying them, right? The learning that you got at Amazon. And then currently at Uber, you kind of managing people, you kind of strategizing things, and all your past experiences are helping you there.
Absolutely. I'd like to give an analogy of marathon, right? When you are running a marathon, right? And life is a marathon as such. I mean, I've changed many jobs, and I'm sure there'll be many more to come. Life is a marathon. If you are very focused on one destination, for example, if you are thinking of running 10 kilometers, by the time you reach 6, you're tired. I'm not sure if you're meditating for an hour, and if you're not meditating well, by the time you're 30 minutes, you're very tired. Your brain is already clogged, right? So whatever you do in life, by the time you reach the halfway mark or a little more than halfway, you start getting tired. I mean, that has been my experience. I'm not sure about people's experience. So what I've also learned from marathon is life is a marathon. Right? Don't set a goal that, I want to do 10 kilometers, 21 kilometers. Run an ultra marathon.
And maybe keep improving yourself.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you are better than the previous day.
Exactly. I mean, I was talking to my daughter as well. She's 8.5 years old. So what I was telling her is that I'm very passionate about mathematics. I love mathematics as a subject. I teach her mathematics with a lot of passion. I gamify maths for her, right? And she loves maths as well. But she didn't get 50 out of 50. She got a little less. But then she comes and tells me, she's in grade 4. She comes and tells me that, Papa, I got 38, but I got better than my friends. Here is the catch, right? I said, your competition is not your friends. Your competition is not your colleagues. Your competition is yourself, and your competition is that 50. Unless you get 50 out of 50, your competition, and even when you get 50 out of 50, reaching at the top is one thing, but staying at the top is completely different altogether. Being successful in business is one thing, but staying there consistently is a different thing altogether. So this is what I keep telling everyone. The path to the top is riddled with a lot of hard work, but staying there requires more hard work. I keep telling my daughter as well, don't compete with anyone. And for me as well, in that marathon analogy, I'm running a very long ultra marathon, which no destination, right? All this 10 kilometers, 21 kilometers, 42 kilometers are an outcome of what I'm trying to do. I mean, if your goal is so learning and doing job and working to the best of your ability, positions, money, everything are small milestones that will come in your life.
True. I mean, just make sure that you are being better and better with time. Whatever you do, basically.
Absolutely.
And keep working toward it. I mean.
Absolutely.
Alright, so now my question is for the most of the audience that we have, they are BTech students or they are early working professionals, and you have such a wide experience, industry experience. You worked in different kind of industries. So I just have this question: you worked with a lot of engineers also. You still must be working with a lot of fresh engineers, early professionals. What are the common myths that the engineering students have, and what are the common myths these early working professionals have when they begin their career?
So one thing, I mean, there are a lot of things that comes to my mind, but there are a few things that I see. People think that when they are getting into a job, be it fresh grads, they put a lot of pressure on themselves, thinking that they need to know everything on day one. This is a journey, right? No one has come all learned from our mother's womb, right? We pick up skills over a period of time. So you need to be passionate, you need to be hardworking to be able to work and understand the concept that you are being told. But it's not necessary that you are expected to know everything on day zero.
Alright.
Right? That's one thing. The other common myth that I see is people expect that you keep growing vertical, one layer over. If you are a software engineer, senior software engineer, maybe lead and whatnot, right? But is that the only growth? There are so many different types of job families today. Data engineering is a job family, data science is a job family, software engineering is a job family. Within software engineering, front end, back end, and they're limitless. Like there are so many job families. For example, if I am an engineer who just works on a third-party application, or Oracle for that matter, and if I want to become a software engineer, that's a huge climb, right? That's a massive learning that you have to go from one level to another level, and you're not growing vertically. You may be growing horizontally, but that's a growth as well. So this is also something that people need to keep in mind, that your growth may not always be vertical.
Next designation, then next designation and all.
You know, one of my boss in one of these companies, he was in the same position for a very long time. He was my manager, but he was in the same position. And I used to ask him, hey, why are you not growing up the ladder? You have all the skill, you have all the people that requires for you to be successful at the next level, the scope, everything is there. Why are you not growing at the next level? And he used to tell me that, look, Balram, I'm not interested in this. When it has to come, it will come. When the time comes, it will happen. And when the time actually came, he not only went one ladder up, in 2 years, he went 2 ladder up and to an executive position, right? It's the foundation that you are building.
You have to be patient actually. Just keep working and just wait for the right time to come.
So, sometimes I was reading about Warren Buffett also. Warren Buffett has 85 billion of net worth approximately. I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but you can read it online. For the longest time, for 3/4 of a century, I think his wealth was about $5 billion. All of a sudden, it became 85. That's the power of compounding. That's the investment that he did and he stayed. So even with learning, that's the investment that you have to do, and you have to be patient. That's one thing. The other thing is, normally when you are young and you have joined an organization, right, there'll be a lot of feedback that people will give you. I'm just saying, hey, your code is not good, it's not up to the mark. Where are the unit test cases here? The code coverage is low, or we found so many bugs in production because of your code. So on and so forth, right? Those are criticisms, and they are valid criticisms. Sometimes when criticisms are given, people take it on their heart, and they either start looking out for a job because they have been criticized. So don't take criticism to your heart. Criticism does not always mean bad. Criticism can be good also. You know, if you take that criticism positively, you'll do better next time. There's one more thing. You know, sometimes when you're young, it's not a bad thing to change jobs. Right, if you've stayed in a company for 3-4 years and you feel that you're getting stagnated in terms of your growth, in terms of both learning growth as well as vertical growth, it's not a bad idea for you to either change teams, change companies, etc. I mean, that's okay to do that, because if you don't do so, at the end of the day, you have to fend for yourself. It's your life, it's your career, right? You are the best judge of what you want to do or what you want to be. So in that, if you think that if I have multiple companies in my resume or multiple teams in my resume and it will look bad, I don't think people care so much. I've seen resumes where someone has changed 8 companies in 12 years, but that guy's exceptionally smart.
Sometimes people say that don't switch very quickly, like within 6 months. You need to be there for a year at least in a company.
Absolutely. I mean, and therefore I'm saying, don't do it pretty frequently, but don't be scared of doing it after having stayed there for about a period of time. I mean, to me, I feel that I start contributing to an organization after 2 years. Okay. The first year takes me to learn, understand. Second year, I start doing something, but I deliver only by end of second year, right? So 2 years it takes for me to start creating a little impact. If you are there for 3-4 years, I think you would have created sufficient impact. And I'm not saying just change your job. Maybe find something within the team. Maybe if you are a software engineer, maybe start doing machine learning or something. If you're a data engineer, start doing something. I mean, your growth should be there. Or if there is no scope at all, then obviously looking external is also not a bad thing.
One common thing that I've seen is, somebody was just talking about this yesterday also, that the early working professionals, the common mistake that they make is they just become very complacent and comfortable once they start getting that salary.
Yeah.
When they start enjoying the weekends too much, kind of stop learning, and they just do the office work. They say that, okay, I'm given this work, I'm doing it. Basically, they don't question, as you said, you used to question a lot. And they don't learn on, they don't upskill in themselves. They don't ask, like, if I'm using this tool for database or this tool for this thing, why my company is not using other tools?
Yes.
And if I'm using these principles, this is how I'm designing systems. What are the other ways to design systems? What are the system design principles? What are the low-level design principles? So they kind of stop learning and they make sure that whatever is assigned to me, I'm doing that. So
exactly.
What are your views on this?
And on that, right? One thing that I would like to add: people normally just it's top down, right? You're given work, you do it, you go home. It should not be the case. And sometimes in that, you're told something and you say yes, yes, yes. You are a professional. You're not expected to be a yes man or yes woman or yes girl, right? You are expected to ask those questions. And if you think by just saying yes, yes to everything, if you think you'll become the star, a blue-eyed boy, girl, I don't think that's true. Unless you are able to question the status quo, you are able to change the thinking that has been thought through. A truth will remain truth even if one person speaks and 99 other person does not speak about it, right? Something which is untrue will remain so, even if 99% says this is the truth. So likewise, you need to be able to question what is being given to you. Or if you're told to do something, maybe come up with some other ideas saying that, hey, you asked me to do a certain work and it would have taken me 6 weeks, but I found an easier way to do it in 2 weeks. Is this what it is? And in that, sometimes asking questions is construed as weakness, right? So when you question back or ask questions, clarifying questions, it may be, general notion is that it may be construed as weakness, but it's not. Obviously, do your homework and go and ask questions, right? I mean, you cannot ask all questions that's already available on the internet or someone else can help answer. If you're asking someone senior, his time is much more valuable, right? That 30 minutes or 1 hour will be so much valuable if he has to clarify some trivial doubts that you could yourself do research on. But then don't be shy of asking questions. I mean, I read this Chinese saying which says that if you ask a question, you're a fool for 3 seconds. If you don't ask it, you're a fool forever.
Oh, that's a nice quote.
Yeah. So I always remember that. Even when I was teaching, I used to tell this to my students way back. Even now in my workplace, I use this, right? If you have a question, ask it. Be a fool for 3 seconds. That's fine. Don't be a fool forever.
All right. So I think that clarifies all the myths that generally early students have. Now I'll move on to some people who are preparing for interviews. So they generally say this, I get to receive this question a lot, that we are asked so many tough DSA questions for the interviews. And do companies actually use them when we go there?
Yeah, it's a very good question and it's a very pertinent question. When you are hired for this organization, right? I'll give you example of all top organization, Google, Amazon, Facebook, etc., Uber, and so on and so forth. Whenever you are being hired, you are not necessarily hired for a team. My team, I mean, hypothetically, let's say there are 10 teams in our organization and each team works in 2 algorithms. So there are 20 algorithms. Let's say there are the exhaustive list of algorithms is 20 in the world, right? But when you're being hired, you don't know which team that you will work. And then within teams also, you can move from one team to another team. That's possible, right? So when you are asked about coding and DSA question, you are hired for an organization, so you are expected to know everything. And this is mostly at a senior level. At a junior, fresh grad level, I don't think there's so much of expectation, right? At a senior level, beyond a certain point, you are expected to know everything at a very high level, if not at a low level, or whatever you know. So when you are preparing, there are only so many types of design questions, at least in my opinion. Go check out YouTube, Geek for Cakes, go check out wherever, right? There are only maybe 15, 20, I don't know. There are only so many types of design questions that can be asked, high level and maybe a little bit of low level. It will not take you 1 full year to prepare for that. If you're preparing for an interview, take time, 2 months, 3 months, write all those questions, prepare for it, and go to the interview. I mean, I'll give you my example, right, as to how I prepare for interview. I mean, that'll be more relevant here. I have been giving interviews from very long time. Obviously, I'm 19 years into the industry. I may have given at least 50, 100 interviews, I don't know.
And I have one quick question for you.
Yeah.
After you reach 10 years of experience, say 12, 15 years, do they still ask the essay?
They do at a high level,
Okay.
yes. It's design, it's not low level design, high level design, yes. Even today, if I were to give an interview, they'll ask me.
Not design actually, data structures, algorithms, the problem solving.
Problem solving also to some extent, yes, not data structures and algorithms. They would ask me more about the strategy, the success or miss that I had in terms of strategical stuff that I've done. They'll not ask me about tactical stuff anymore. It'll be more strategic in nature now. Sorry, where was I? I was talking about...
We were talking about the design questions.
Design questions. So I was also talking about how I prepare, right? I have created a notebook for myself. Okay. Not from now, from quite some time. I write, every time I give an interview, I write the question, okay? Both technical and non-technical. If you see my notebook today, I'll have low-level design also in that, and that's the same notebook that I've been maintaining for 17 years now. What I do is, to every questions that I expect the interviewer to ask, I have already refined the answer so much in my head, in my notebook, and I have created a mental model of everything. For example, if you ask me how do you manage low performance, high performance, etc., I have a mental model. And low performance and high performance is a byproduct of the process that I follow. Focus more on the systems and process rather than on the outcomes. And to every question that can be asked there, I already have an answer, and I already have a very succinct answer with a mental model in it. I hope to publish a book someday on that. Right?
Sure, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I have done that, both for technical and non-technical. I've done that, and this is the recommendation that I would give to everyone. This is my suggestion, my 2 cents, right? Don't prepare for this next interview. Prepare to understand the concept, write it down in a notebook in such a way that even 10 years from now, if you reference it, you'll be able to easily glance through it in 1 minute and then know what is it that you're going to talk about, right? That's to your question, right? There are 2 parts to your question. When someone is preparing for an interview, right? DSA, algo, design and structures, coding, etc. is one part of the interview. And that's your bread and butter. You better be good at it, right? Companies, there are so many candidates in the market, right? I'm sure you may be very good at something that someone wants. But if you're not able to clear the interview, you're competing with a lot of your peers who may know everything. So you rather be prepared for that. And to me, it does not take more than, even for the Googles and Amazons of the world or Ubers of the world, to me, it will not take more than 3 months for you to prepare for any interview and crack that. You have to be honest about it. So just write it down, prepare on the technical side. There are a lot of contents available on the internet. Everything good in life is free, right? Everything is free. You don't have to necessarily pay for everything. You don't have to necessarily go and attend a course. That's why people keep telling me which courses to attend. I was like, have you explored enough? So prepare there, but that's one part, right? That's only 50% as you grow higher. Technical is only 50%. The rest 50% is about your values. Do you fit into the team? Would you be a team player? I would rather want a team person than a Superman or Superwoman in my team.
That's very, team player or teamwork is very, very important that generally freshers miss out. Actually,
exactly.
They focus a lot on their own work.
Correct. But for freshers, we can still give them benefit of doubt, right? Once you have gone beyond After fresher, if you become senior software engineer or whatever, and whatever designation in the company after a couple of years of experience, you need to start becoming a team player, because together we can achieve so much more than I.
In an
alone can
organization,
achieve
that's
it.
very, very important
Absolutely. Without that, you will not succeed. The organization will not succeed. You will not succeed. And in that, there are a lot of these values. You'll have your own value system. I have my own value system. I'm not sure how many of you have your own value system, right? I'm sure you'll have your value system, but to those budding engineers, right? Do you have a value system for yourself, right? I see, so let me talk about my value system. There are three things that I deeply care about for whoever I'm hiring, whichever person that I'm making friends with, those are my value system. In terms of the work, I take very high ownership and pride in the work that I do. If I'm given a task, or if I have taken a task, come what may, I'll do it. It may be within my scope, it may not be within my scope. I may have to seek help from 10 different people. I will go reach out, get help, I will do it. I value a lot on the ownership that individual takes. I take a lot of ownership, so I expect people to take a lot of ownership. And when I'm evaluating people, I also see that whether that person is very high on ownership or not. But just with ownership, I don't think things happen just with ownership, right? Today's day and age, it's evolving constantly. But at my level, the one thing that I also see along with that ownership is how much can I trust that person? Or how much will that person create circle of trust within the team? Will people be trusting of him, or will people look at that person with suspicion? Will I be trusting of that person? For example, if I give something to that person, right? Will they just do it without having to follow up? Can I trust them to come back to me tomorrow and having taken complete ownership, complete trust from me, and then tell that, hey, this is the problem that you get. I found 5 more problem. I did everything, and here is what it is. I'm just talking in terms of work context, right? Also, establish trust with peers. Will their peers look to that person with a lot of trust? Will they be able to discuss everything, or will they distrust and not share everything with them? I saw the ownership, trust, and the third most important thing that I look on every individual is in terms of what's the value proposition that they can build in terms of ideas, innovation, thinking big. You have to have an innovator growth mindset. You cannot be a fixed mindset person. If you are a fixed mindset person, you'll not grow beyond a certain point. You have to be open to ideas, right? Like Buddha said, keep your cup empty. How much is the person able to absorb, think beyond the immediate realm, right? Or be able to question the status quo. Be a thinker. I look for people who have cup empty, who are able to listen to someone's opinion, who are able to think big, who are able to earn trust, who are able to take a lot of ownership. That's my value system. So similarly,
I think things are very much acquired by every organization, basically.
Yes.
Every organization will look people with this value system.
Absolutely. And unless you have that value system, know that you'll be in deep trouble even if you are selected. For you to become successful, and organizations have defined beautiful value system for themselves. So if you are preparing for an interview for, let's say, Google may have their own value system. Amazon has its own leadership principle, right? Read through it and live by it for some time. See how it changes your life, and interview then will be a cakewalk. 50% is technical, 50% is value, right? And that's equally important. You may be a superstar in technical skills, but if you are lowering the bar on value system, you'll not be hired. That's very important, and that's something that people will have to understand. I'm not sure many people understand. They still prepare on technical stuff,
side and
eventually they don't get selected. They're like, I did so well on design and algorithm and coding, but I didn't get selected. So if you are not getting selected, in spite of having done very well in design and architecture and then coding, you know where you're missing.
I was talking to one person yesterday. She was saying that, I got rejected in one company in behavioral round, and then I got to know that what are the mistakes I made and how do I do well, and next time I got selected there.
Yes.
So that round is very, very important.
Absolutely. That's what I said. It's 50%. It's the higher you go, they give stress on the value system, because there are some skills which can be gained, which is coachable. There are other skills which are not coachable.
So any particular things you would suggest that I should not make mistakes in the soft skills or the behavioral rounds or the value systems when somebody is asking me the questions? Any tips or tricks you would like to give to the people who are preparing for the interviews?
Yeah, absolutely. So first thing, right, let me take a step back. Be over prepared than be under prepared for values question also. It will come to you. There will be questions asked. Be over prepared. But how do you prepare is the question now. Right? Go ahead and scan through all the values or leadership principle that's across there in the internet. For each of these values or leadership principle, think of a question that can be asked. For example, if someone is trying to gauge as to how deep you go into a problem, they may just come and ask a very subjective, objective question which does not have a right or wrong answer, saying that, talk to me about a problem where you had to look outside of what was immediately seen and work the problem where you successful or not, what was the impact that it created. Look at the question. It's very subjective. Now, I know what I'm trying to gauge. Do you know what you are being gauged on? This is something that every individual will have to sit and rehearse. I'm sure you may have the answer, but at that point in time, the question itself will not strike to you. I'm sure you would have dug deep many times, found out all those issues that were lying for years, and eventually you would have solved them. You would have had a huge impact. In the first place, you didn't understand the question itself. So, like I said, what I do for all those things is I again fall back to my process. I have a book. I have all the values written from everywhere that I have worked, or whatever I've learned over internet, or whatever I read in terms of philosophy books or whatnot, right? And then I have made a good mental model for myself, a good process for myself. And then I refer to them. And the process, it could be like, simple as that: process, product, policies. I mean, some acronyms that I may have given for me to remember. When I am giving an interview, I just remember the acronym, and based on that, I can build up the entire story. And 2 examples, right? The examples that I had when I was interviewing at Amazon will be very different than while I am here at Uber. My examples keeps getting better. And also, one of the most important thing I think I missed out. In your interview, never ever give a very generic answer. You can start with a very generic answer, but then you'll have to say, okay, let me give you an example of how I lived through this situation and what was the impact. And you don't have to be necessarily successful. You don't have to necessarily have a positive outcome to what you are doing. You could say that, I ideated on this, worked on it for 6 months, but I eventually failed. That's perfectly good answer. How did you recover from failure is a question that I'll have, right? It's kind of a binary tree, right? Decision tree. If you say this, I may ask one question here. Think of all the binary tree questions that you may have, and then be prepared for it. For me, I keep telling this to everyone, whoever asks me, how to crack an interview. Interview is like cheating for me. The questions are already out there in the market.
True, and most of the questions are repeated.
It's the same thing. It's all recycled. It's just that the question paper is out there. You're just not prepared. It's just that if the question paper is out there, you're able to write it well, practice it for 3 months, then I don't think you'll not crack any interview. Because by default, this is what I feel. All of us have equal brain. No one is smarter, no one is dumber. We are all equally smart. The only variable is who works hard and who doesn't. That's the only variable.
That's a very different way to looking at things, right?
Right. I mean, of course, someone can have a great memory, but I don't need to have a great memory to be able to crack some of these things. And the kind of stuff that we are doing is pretty mundane. It's not we're not building a rocket, and then even if we are building rocket, we can build rocket. I'm sure everyone has that capability. It'll just take us a little more time.
I mean, same thing. I talked to a person working at Google yesterday, and he told me the same thing, that give me time. I have that confidence now. I've worked for 7-8 years now, and I have that confidence. Give me time. I can do anything.
Exactly. That's my philosophy. You can do everything. By that, I also take it a little philosophical there, right? I feel human beings are wired to be successful. The anomaly is if you give up, then you fail. If you're running a marathon, relatively trained, and you don't give up, you'll complete a full marathon for sure. But in the middle, if you just say, no, I can't do it, and then you stop, then that's an aberration. Aberration is a failure. If you're working on something, if you're working on an idea, if you're working on your own company, right? Even for that matter, a pan dukan. If you are persistent and consistent with it, with time you will be successful. Maybe the amount of time that would take would be a little longer versus someone else. But that if you're comparing with someone else, if you're comparing with yourself as an entity, one person as an entity, eventually you'll be successful. So we are wired to be successful internally, and we are successful by the nature of our birth itself. We are here and we are successful, right? It's just that sometimes we try to take it easy, shortcuts in life, and therefore we fail.
Now, Balram, I'll come back to some more tech questions. If you look at our engineering education, I'll talk more about programming languages now. So most of us are taught C and C++ when we do engineering. In fact, this is how my BTech was. I spent first semester learning C programming language. Even by the end of third year, final year, I was spending time what happens if you pass the parameters I++ first or I++ I later, divide I personally feel that time I should have spent more on designing and learning than too much on a programming language.
Right.
And that too, we learn C and C++ most of the time, but except few embedded system companies or firmware companies, most of the products are built in Java or Python. This is one question. And the second question I have is, you mentioned about R and Python. So I just want to understand, because time is of AI, ML and data science. So how do you decide that you need to pick R or Python for any ML product?
Okay, so that I don't forget, I'm just writing two things, R and Python, and then how is our industry evolving for the needs of our students, right? Are we there in terms of industry accepting us by the time we are out as a product from colleges?
Right, that's the main question.
Yeah, that's the main question. To answer that, right, our education system is evolving at a slow pace. That's a fact. But these days, educations not only happen from colleges, not only happen from the books that we study, education happens outside also. I mean, there's a plethora of information available on the internet. But let's give it to the students. Okay, let's say they don't have access to it, or because that age is such that you'll only go with whatever it is, right? You'll not study beyond that. Now, coming back to your question, right? C or C++. There has been a late realization for me as well. I realized it after seven years of working, that if I know one programming language well, I know C++ well. What is C++? It's an object-oriented programming language. If I know it extremely well, Java is just a cakewalk, right? And if I know C++ so well, Python will look like, okay, it's a walk in the park. It's not important what you know. It's important how much you know of one thing. If you're learning one thing, ensure that you learn it completely from top to bottom. For example, in my, like I said, in my interview at Amazon, I was asked some question in some programming language. I said, I'm not good at it. Ask me anything on Python and I'll be able to answer all the questions. And I was not asked question at all. Ask me one question, and after that, they realized that I know so much, they just stopped, and then we moved on to something else. It's not about whether you know Java, you know something else. If you know Java, know it very well. If you know C, know it very well. If you know C++, know it very well, right? There's one thing that you have to know, at least, but then I'll put it this way, right? You have to know one programming language, end to end. Unless you know that, you'll not be successful. And while our education system is still evolving, we are still talking about C, C++, the world has moved to Copilot and stuff where code are being auto-generated. So we'll have to be one step ahead in the game as well. For every student, I think you have people who want to join this industry. You have plethora of information today. There's abundance of information. There's rather overwhelming information. Pick up one thing and learn it so very well that no one else should know better than you. That's how I would put it.
Sure. I mean, the principles are same. I mean, yes. It's just the syntax which is a bit different, but most of the languages are derived from C and C++ only.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's good that you learn one language and you can easily switch to any other language anytime in the industry.
For me, I was doing PL SQL, like I said, to begin with, right? I was writing Oracle code, PL SQL code, a little bit of Unix self-scripting. When I learned Java for the first time, I felt a little difficult. But once I learned Java, Python was easy. I started doing Scala then. It's a functional programming language. I self-learned, and all of this I self-learned. I didn't have a teacher. I didn't pay money to anyone to teach me.
And I was talking to a person yesterday. He was telling me, I work on 3-4 languages in a day many times. I mean, it's just a syntax difference. Otherwise, they all have the same concepts and ideas. Yeah.
Exactly. And maybe by the time some of these people pass, right? I mean, in colleges, you may not actually have to write code. It's scary, yet there is so much of opportunity as well, which means we will be moving towards the higher end of the work. Maybe on AI, we may be doing something there. For example, ChatGPT, if you give a proper prompt there, if you ask a question to generate code, it generates code. There are a lot of AI websites, tools these days, where you can just give a natural language and then you get websites or whatever in return. You actually don't have to do, you just have to customize it.
And it's following the modern standard of writing code. It uses const and C++, passes by reference.
Yes.
So it's really generating quality code.
Absolutely. And obviously machine will be better than humans, right? Because they have so much information already. They're learning from that information and doing it.
Alright, so what about R and Python? I mean,
R and Python. I'll go back in time. On R is a statistical programming language used for data analysis and writing machine learning code lot, right? Back then, I'm talking about 2013, 14. And then slowly Python came into the picture. It was Python 2 point something at that point in time. I remember going to Python 2.7 and then eventually to Python 3.4, etc. Python did not have some of those data analysis packages, etc. Back then, I helped some of my colleagues move away from art. My soft corner is with Python. Okay, because I've done a lot of coding in Python. I'm not saying R is bad, or I don't have an opinion on that, but R used to be used that time for those kind of analysis. I'm sure even today people are using it. But what I have seen is I've seen people slowly migrating away from R to Python over the years.
Because of richer libraries and...
Exactly. Python did not have a library at some point in time, right? But with the advent of NumPy, SciPy, scikit-learn, Pandas, I'm sure a lot of people will be able to understand where I'm coming from. Some particularly people who are working on Python, they are so rich a library and it's so easy to write code compared to R that people started adapting it. So again, I don't have a like or dislike for anything. You could use R or you could use Python, but given that Python is so much more easy if you're trying to learn something new, my 2 cents is that maybe Python is the right thing to start.
Alright, Balram, so my next question is, according to you, what are the challenges or gaps that Indian tech industry is facing these days?
I've been thinking a lot about this lately. We are great adapters and we play a lot of catch-up games. I feel that we are not the inventors, we are rather the adapters. I'll tell you why. For example, Google. I think India is one of the largest users of Google search engine.
Even ChatGPT recently shared the data. India is the largest.
Facebook, Instagram. I think Facebook, India is the largest. Forget about the second largest. I thought it was second largest, but I think the latest data says that it's the largest. I might be wrong there. We may still be second largest. All Facebook, Instagram. There are so many things that are being innovated elsewhere, and we are the adapters. We're the first adapters. But one thing that has not come out of India is we have not created the Googles and the Facebooks or even OpenAI, AIs of the world. Is this something, the question is twofold, right? Do we have the potential to do that? Absolutely, we are very smart people. We have the potential. But then what is lacking? I think there is investments that's lacking there. And there are a lot of ideas, people, lately there is a lot of startup, a lot of work, right? But I still feel that there's some kind of X factor missing. That amount of trust and investment in the ideas coming out of India, that's something missing. And this is something that we should continue to invest. I mean, look at the number of patents also that we roll out, right? I think we are way back there. It may be our people rolling out patent, but from US, right? It's not from India. So it'll take some time for us to be there, but I definitely see in foreseeable future, we will be, if not the top.
I have seen the growth. I mean, if you talk about, say, 10 years back or 90s, we were mainly service industry.
Yes.
But now there are products coming out.
Yes.
They're building global products. There are certain products. So things are getting better with time.
Yeah. I mean, we are building products for ourselves, but it's not able to scale up to the world. Right? If you see all of those products that we use today, right? We are very smart with UPI, ONDC. We are getting better. Right? But it has not impacted the world. We are innovating within our sphere of influence, within our country. We are not inventing for the world, or we are not thinking for the world, or maybe we are thinking and it's not able to survive.
I think we kind of just reaching there. We are almost there actually.
Right. But if you see the number of engineers, the number of doctors that we are producing, I mean, we are running the world in terms of engineers.
True, that's true.
And with that number of engineers or even doctors, if you go and visit anywhere in the Western world, you'll see a lot of Indian engineers and doctors for sure. Why is it that we are not able to support them to grow and do something big over here?
I think as you said, investment is a big reason. The amount of money that is invested in the ecosystem here, it's different from what is invested there in the West. And plus again, the trusting.
Yeah, the trust, right. I mean, I know for sure. I was talking to someone and someone just picked up some series funding in US. Right? It's a very small idea, but I think he picked up about $35 million of funding. We are getting funding here, but it's a lot more work than them, right? Instead of our inventors focusing on getting funding, they should focus more on ideas and funding should come naturally. That's not happening. We are focusing a lot on funding, right. Be it Series A, Series B, whatever, seed funding, etc., and focusing less on ideas. And we move from one thing to other thing very soon if it does not work out, right? It has to be profitable.
I see a problem also these days. There are a lot of new founders and people who just say that I just want to build this business so that I can get some investment and then I can sell it.
Yeah, exactly.
That mentality and mindset I don't understand at all.
Exactly. You know, then you're not thinking big, you're just thinking of making money. Right? I mean, if money is the outcome that you are chasing, then you may get money, but it will not become big. But if it is the idea that you are chasing and you're passionate about it, then obviously money is a byproduct, it will come. But then idea takes time to, fructify. It takes a lot of time to fructify. It's happening. I'm not saying it's not happening. I mean, like you said, from 1990s to now, we are so much more better. We will get better.
There are products actually which are being consumed in India, outside India, not that big product, that big scale as Google and Facebook, but there are products actually which we are building now.
Right. I mean, one thing that I can see, and government has done a great job, UPI and ONDC. Right. Amazing. That's an amazing product that the world is. I was just reading about German ambassador using UPI to buy food. It's just like you cannot imagine that in Germany.
If I'm a fresher or if I'm an early working professional, how do I get into Uber?
There are a couple of things. I mean, I would give a very generic answer to this, right? If you follow some of the stuff that I'm telling you, you may be able to crack a lot of companies, right? I go a step back, right? What are the things that the interviewer, the company expects out of you, right? If you are a couple of years experienced or you are a newcomer, I don't know. I mean, each company has their own policies in terms of hiring directly from colleges, etc. But even in an interview, whenever you are given a question, you'll not be asked to code in a certain language. You'll be told that here is the problem statement. Use whatever technologies that you know to solve the problem. You need to be a problem solver, right? To that, you need to know at least one technology. But technology is one thing, right? Design and architecture and coding is something that you need to understand. Maybe lead code. That's one thing in terms of coding and design and architecture. But the other aspect, again, like I said before, people need you to be a team player. People need you to be a thinker, right? The average is not enough in today's world. How do you ensure that you are seen above the rest? How do you differentiate yourself from the crowd? To that, you have to be thoroughly prepared on being a team's person. Sometimes you need to take a personal hit for a team to be successful. Are you willing to take that sacrifice? And this is something that you need to prepare. This needs to come across to someone who is talking to you, interviewing you. Unless you may be that person and if you are not able to communicate well, and with that brings me to an important point, right? Communication. Communication does not mean you need to have great English. Communication means you need to be able to convey what you think to the other person. And
speak out your mind even during the interview, whatever you're thinking.
Absolutely. And let's say English is not your friend. So what? Use data to communicate. Right? I have done A, I went from A to B, from 10 million to 100 million. Use data to communicate.
That's a very good point, actually. You don't have to just say it. Yeah, your data can tell everything.
Exactly. Let the data tell your story. Work on your English. It's not rocket science. I mean, every Indian is at least bilingual. At least. Right? I speak about 6 to 7 languages, right? So English is not a rocket science. You'll be able to learn, and then n set of questions, maybe 10, 15, 20, that can be asked. Why don't you just prepare it very well? Because that should not be a blocking condition for your entry into something. So know your technology and know your own value system. Prepare well, prepare to be a team player and communicate well. I think that's what I would.
Alright, Balram. So my last question is, you mentioned you know 6 languages, you do marathons and you keep upskilling yourself, you keep learning new technology also. How do you manage all this? You have a family also. How do you manage work-life balance and all the other things that you're doing?
Again, this is a topic which is very close to my heart. And I have, except for a few times in my life, I have never felt out of place in terms of work-life balance. I have always been able to maintain my balance. The reason why I'm able to do so is I have something outside of the work which I'm passionate about. If someone comes and tells me that work is my passion, coding is my passion, well, that can be your passion, but then are you limiting yourself? Will you burn out by doing that too much? If you do something too much, you end up burning out yourself, right? So how do you rejuvenate yourself? I'll go back a little bit, and this may sound a little philosophical also, in terms of in yoga. Right, in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, they say that yam, niyam, that's how it starts, right? Yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dhyan, dharana and samadhi. Right? This is the sequence of steps that you need to do to attain samadhi. To that, the cornerstone of samadhi, which is your ultimate goal, is self-control and self-discipline. So the first thing that I ask anyone who is talking about work-life balance, do you have self-control and self-discipline? Do you binge eat? Do you sleep very late at night even when it's not required, right? Your work may have ended at 11 o'clock. Do you watch TV till 4 o'clock, right? Then how will you attain work-life balance? So something very simple, which, I realized very early in my life, is that try to sleep on time and wake up on time. Your body has a clock. If you wake up at 5 a.m. for 3 days, 4th day, you'll automatically wake up. You don't need an alarm, whatever time you sleep. And if you wake up at 5 a.m., your body automatically will shut down at 10, 11 o'clock. Body has a clock. It's listening, right? The biological clock is running. So first thing, at least try to sleep on time and wake up on time. And wake up early. When you wake up very early in the morning, what do? You have a lot of time for yourself for the entire day. Then you start your day by doing yoga, meditation, running. And if you do that, you'll be full of energy for the entire day. And again, coming back to yoga, right? The lethargy or less energy in your body is a sign that you have less prana in your body. What is prana? Prana is all about oxygen. It's all about the air we breathe. So if we are able to inundate our body with a lot of oxygen, you'll be full of energy throughout the day. So any kind of exercise, you want to go and dance, go and dance. You want to run, go and run. But at least that 1.5 hours to 2 hours in the morning, I try to reserve 2 hours for myself in the morning. It's just that you have to sacrifice on the sleep time. You don't need more than 7 hours of sleep.
I think the most important point that you mentioned was people finish their work at 11 o'clock, then they feel like now I have extra time, nobody's around me at the night, and I can browse social media, I can spend 2-3 hours. That's where they miss out actually.
Yeah, do the same thing. Wake up at 5, do exercise till 7, do it 7 to 9. But you need to have a rhythm in your life. Life needs to run like a music. It has to have a rhythm. It has to go dot to dot, dot to dot. And there for a reason, your body also starts shutting down. And if you are going against the very nature of our existence, obviously you'll be fatigued, you'll have a lot more problems along with it. But again, it's a solved problem rather.
The thing that happens with me at night also many times, even if I go to bed, cover myself up, turn on AC and do everything, I don't get sleep. That's a big problem. So many times what I do is I just run a podcast and just listen to it like a lorry that moms and parents used to tell, and then just close my eyes and then I get to sleep. That works for me.
I think what will also work for you, and what has worked for me in the past, and I'm a student for my life, right? I've not learned everything. What works for me is try to meditate. Put a guided meditation, maybe Yoga Nidra or whatever, lying down, you'll get a very deep sleep, right? Initially, you will need a little bit of help, and then eventually you'll start falling off asleep. For example, if I don't get sleep, I just sit and then I focus on my heartbeat and my breath. 5 minutes, I'm over.
All right.
I'm able to sleep. And then let's say you don't get sleep, and instead of maybe you listen to podcasts, it's fine. But if you start focusing on your breath also, you're inundating your body with oxygen. Again, the level of prana in your body goes up. And at some point in time, you will be flat. You will sleep. So again, work-life balance, I would not say it's a myth, but I would say it's a problem that can be solved, and it has been solved. It's a solved problem. Obviously, some days are bad. I mean, some of my days are bad. I'm not able to work out every day. But it's part of the process and system that I follow. That even, let's say yesterday I didn't do anything in the morning. Evening I did it. I did about 30 minutes of pranayama in the evening and did 10 minutes of meditation. It's not about how much you do. It's about, are you doing it consistently? All of us have 5 minutes, right? Can we do 5 minutes push-ups here right now?
Yeah, I can try.
Yeah, you have 10 minutes, right? Can we do 10 minutes meditation here now? It's just about that, and do it frequently. Do it every 3 hours, 5 minutes of exercise. It's achievable. These days, what I've started doing is, whenever I don't have time in the morning to do exercise, I go to office, I go to my cabin, and then I do push-ups 50 times. One shot. The blood starts flowing. After some time, again, after maybe before lunch, I again do 30 push-ups. You are giving your body something. And that's what relaxes you. When you're a little tired, there's endorphins that's released in your body and you relax automatically. That's the whole purpose of all exercise.
And exercise brings a lot of positivity, because if you're sitting idle for a long time, if you're working, even if you're working on something that you like a lot, after some time you kind of start getting involved, you kind of get sleepy. But if you do a bit of exercise for some time, even for 5 minutes, it brings positivity, brings energy and everything actually. It works really good.
There is something called Tabata. It's a Japanese form of exercise. You do every exercise for about 60 or 90 seconds. You can check that out. And there are 4 or 5 exercises. If you're able to do 5 minutes of Tabata well, then you are very fit. We should try that. All of us should try that. I don't do one thing. Yesterday I ran about 10 kilometers. Today I woke up and I did about Surya Namaskar, I did yoga, I did a little bit of pranayam, and I'm here. Right? Tomorrow is Friday, I have time. I don't have to go to office. I don't go to office on Friday. So maybe I'll go for a run. I try to balance something. If I don't do anything, maybe in the evening when I come from office, when I'm a little low on energy, when I'm feeling tired, I do pranayam and then it refreshes me. So you will be able to attain work-life balance and in a very healthy way. And once you start doing this, you'll get addicted at some point in time.
Great, Balram, great talking to you. I mean, really enjoyed the whole conversation, and I think the audience must have learned a lot. So, guys, this was this podcast, and I guess you guys must have learned a lot from Balram's experiences. Please do like and subscribe and share this with your friends.
Thank you.